You did everything right. You crushed the goals, built the resume, checked all the boxes, but something feels off. Everyone says you're successful. So why don't you feel it? Why does every win come with a side of anxiety? Why does resting feel like failure? Why does even the applause sound empty? Here's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. A lot of people don't succeed out of passion. They succeed out of panic. Not because they're inspired, but because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't. Afraid of being seen as lazy. Afraid of disappointing others. Afraid of finally hearing that voice whisper, "You're not good enough." This isn't motivation. It's manipulation. By fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of irrelevance. Fear of failure. And that kind of success, it doesn't free you. It owns you. You don't run toward dreams. You run away from shame. And no matter how far you run, it never feels like enough. Because the chase was never about the goal. It was about escaping the feeling of being unworthy. But what if you're not the problem? What if it's the trap you're in? We love to glorify the grind. Discipline over motivation. Outwork everyone. Never settle. But what if what we call discipline is actually fear in disguise? Fear of being judged. Fear of not doing enough. Fear of falling behind. So you stay busy, not because you're inspired, but because you're scared of what it means if you stop. Every action becomes a way to outrun insecurity. Every task is proof that you're not a failure. And every win is just a brief pause before the next sprint. Let's be honest. You don't rest because rest feels like weakness. You don't say no because guilt hits harder than exhaustion. You don't celebrate because you don't think you've earned it yet. That's not discipline. That's fear wearing a productivity mask. And the problem with this trap? It looks exactly like success from the outside. People admire your work ethic, but they don't see the war in your head. You're not driven. You're cornered. Every achievement is another brick in the wall of your anxiety. And slowly, the life you built to impress others becomes a cage you can't escape. Unless you learn to see the difference between true motivation and fear-based survival. Fear-based success doesn't just change your habits. It rewires your identity. You stop asking, "Who do I want to become?" and start asking, "What do I need to achieve so I don't feel like a failure?" Your worth becomes transactional, earned, measured, conditional. You only feel good when you're productive. Only feel safe when you're busy. Only feel proud when someone else claps. And the worst part? Even then, it doesn't stick. You get that temporary dopamine hit, but it fades fast. So you chase the next project, the next goal, the next validation. Success becomes a drug, and fear becomes the dealer. It's subtle, but devastating. Because you start thinking, if I stop achieving, people will stop respecting me. If I'm not useful, I'm not valuable. If I'm not winning, I'm nothing. You measure your life in outcomes, not moments. And without realizing it, you become a prisoner to the version of you that everyone else applauds, but that you secretly can't stand. That's not growth. That's fear doing a perfect impression of ambition. And it's why no matter how far you go, you still don't feel free. Here's what fear-based success steals from you: connection, joy, peace, and eventually, yourself. You start to isolate because vulnerability feels unsafe. You keep achieving because slowing down feels like failure. You lose track of what makes you feel alive because fear only cares about what makes you look accomplished. People see the highlight reel. They don't see the breakdowns between the milestones. They don't hear the anxiety in your silence or the sadness behind your smile. You become the high achiever everyone admires. and the lonely person no one really knows. Because fear doesn't just push you forward, it cuts you off. From people, from presence, from purpose, and worst of all, it convinces you that if you stop, everything will fall apart. That your value is hanging by a thread you can't let go of. That if you're not doing, you're not deserving. So you stay on the hamster wheel. You hustle for validation. You hide your exhaustion. Until eventually, even the wins stop feeling like wins. And that's how fear traps you. Not by stopping your progress, but by making it feel meaningless. You don't have to earn your worth by grinding yourself into the ground. You don't have to prove you're enough by constantly producing. And you don't have to let fear make all your decisions. Here's the truth. Real success doesn't feel like panic. It doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like peace. It doesn't scream at you. It aligns with you. It's not about what you're running from. It's about what you're running toward. So ask yourself, would you still chase this goal if no one was watching? Would you still work this hard if guilt wasn't involved? Would you still call this success if you didn't feel so afraid of failing? Because that's where freedom begins. When fear stops being the fuel, you deserve a life you don't have to recover from. A version of success that heals, not hurts. You don't need to escape success. You just need to escape the fear underneath it. If this hit you in ways you didn't expect, you're not alone. Type "unlocked" in the comments if you're done letting fear run the show. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who looks successful on the outside, but is silently drowning on the inside. And if you want more content like this, raw, real, and fearless, hit that subscribe button, because this channel isn't here to hype your hustle. It's here to help you heal.